What's up everybody, it's Chieftain, here with an Atlas strategy guide for how I made a good chunk of currency the past few days while streaming. It's roughly the same strategy that everyone else is using that you might have seen some strategies for already, but this is my take on the strategy and I've actually juiced up the maps even more. And guys, let me tell you, this is the craziest maps I have ever run in Path of Exile, and I've been having a great time with this strat. And now if you guys don't have an insane gear, it's honestly okay, because you can actually do the same strat at different map tiers and be totally fine. It just depends on how well your build can do the content, and then you kind of just adjust the map tier accordingly. The strategy is pretty solid for making currency at around 4 to 5 exalts an hour, which necessarily isn't the best out there, but the mapping playstyle that you're going to get out of the experience honestly is the best, at least in my opinion. It's such a fun playstyle, and these maps can get absolutely crazy and hectic, and it's such a fun time. Now, what I want to do in this guide is walk you guys through exactly how to set up your Atlas passive trees, and your Sextants, and your Scarabs to make these big juicy maps that we all love to run. It's going to be a short and straightforward guide, so hope you guys enjoy this one, and if you do and end up using this Atlas strategy, let me know how it goes in the comments below. And if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. So without further ado, let's dive straight into it. Alright, so here we are in the Atlas passive tree that we're going to be using in this strategy. The most important thing to note is, of course, that we are doing the Delirium mirror farming strategy. This is a medium to high-end investment strategy, just so you guys know. The strategy is the base for how we're going to be getting so many monsters on the map, and combo that with enough rewards to get some juicy returns and start saving you guys up some serious currency. So that being said, we're of course going to be getting every single Delirium node there is on the tree, the most important being Descent into Madness. Delirium areas go 50% faster in distance from the mirror. Basically, what this is going to mean is actually the map is going to get harder as it goes towards the end of the map, and also increase your rewards and splinters that you gain from completing it though. Basically, anytime you have any of your league mechanics towards the end of the map, it's actually going to generate a ton of extra splinters and rewards. But like I said, it's going to be a lot harder to do as well. This is the reason that you're going to need to know kind of where your build is at and what it can handle. And if you can't complete at the end of these maps at a fast pace, then lower the map tier and you'll be still making a lot of currency until you can kind of farm up a little bit more currency to upgrade your build and step it up to the next map tier. Again, we're going to get all the rest of the Delirium nodes here. They are all fantastic. Next on the list, we're going to be getting all of the Beyond nodes on the tree. This is going to juice up the map even more, and it combos really well with adding so many different league mechanics to these maps, because it has so many monsters on these maps that will all then spawn Beyond monsters on top of those league mechanics, just juicing up the map even more. The next most important node that we're going to be getting is Flash Breach. This means that breaches in the area have 30% increased area of effect and 30% increased monster density. Again, we're just adding a ton of monsters to the map. And for the next thing here we're going to be getting is Abyssal Army. This is going to be adding 100% increased monsters to all of our abysses. Next, continuing that trend, we're going to get Unspeakable Offensive. This is going to add 60% more minions to Harbingers in areas. And guess what? Again, we're going to be adding even more monsters to the map by getting a ton of strong boxes that are corrupted and at least rare, with tamper-proof here, adding even more monsters to the map. We're basically picking up all the nodes we can for Breach, while only picking up Abyssal Army for Abyss, picking up several of the Harbinger nodes though, and most of the strong boxes nodes. Lastly on the tree here, I am going with Enduring Influence for one additional Sextant use when I'm rolling these Sextants myself. If you don't plan on rolling these Sextants yourself and rather just plan on purchasing them, you can skip these 5 points here and put them elsewhere. Lastly, we're getting all of the Conqueror nodes, with the most important being this one right here, which is going to give us 20% increased pack size to our maps, and we're going to be going all Conqueror maps here. So we're running all of these maps as Conqueror maps, and I'm personally running them as a tier 16 Strand Conqueror map for every single time I do one of these maps. Each one of these maps cost about 30 to 35 chaos, but I run them in order so I can do all 4 Conquerors and then get all 4 fragments to these runs. If you let the Maven witness them as well, you can also then do the Elder Slayer Maven invitation, which will further increase your profit per hour, as these do have pretty good rewards and drop a pretty good amount of Maven splinters. They can also drop the fragments for Cyrus as well, which is pretty cool. I've also actually made a significant amount of my currency by dropping Conquer Exalted Orbs from these Conquerors, and from farming Cyrus after completing all these maps. Basically, it's just a really smooth playstyle where you go to map, and then you go get the fragments for Cyrus, and then you go do the Elder Slayer boss fight, and it's just kind of a nice cycle of gameplay. And one last thing here to know though is, again, if you can't handle these in tier 16 maps, that's okay. You can purchase these as tier 14 maps as conquer maps, and if you can't do those tier 14 conquer maps, that's okay as well. Just go ahead and take it down a notch here, though I would still suggest doing Strand, or you could do Promenade as a pretty solid map as well. Alright, with the Atla passive tree out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the second most important piece of the strategy, the Sextants. Most importantly to understand is that you're going to need to get all 4 watchstones in order to do the strategy, which will require you to get all 4 in-game bosses killed. If you haven't already, definitely go ahead and do those, whether that be yourself or paying somebody as a service or having one of your friends do it. Definitely get them as soon as possible. So once you get your 4 stones, you are ready to get set up with the Sextants. Now in this league, we have been given the opportunity to be able to save our Sextants very easily when rolling them ourselves by using a Surveyor's Compass. This is an item that you can purchase from Kirak in your hideout for 1 chaos per 1 Surveyor's Compass. Stock up on these, as you will be needing them if you roll your own Sextants, which is what I would suggest you guys doing, because you can actually profit off of these Sextants while you're rolling the ones you actually need. There are certain Sextants that can actually sell for quite a bit that we don't use in this strategy, that when you sell them, you can make up the currency you spent while rolling them for Sextants that we do need to actually come out even, or even still make a profit getting set up for these maps. Some of the best Sextants to look out for profit when you sell them are, of course, the Delirium Mirror, which is the one that we're going to be doing, but after that, some of the other ones are unique bosses drop an additional Conquer map, area contains the Sacred Grove, breaches an area belong to Cheula, Delirium rewards fill 100% faster, area contains Alva or June, and those are just to name a few. So as you roll for the Sextants we do use in the strategy, look out for those and sell those that we don't need to recoup some of the money we spent on rolling the Sextants we do need. If you're lazy like me sometimes, you can always just purchase the Sextants yourself on trade and just run those straight up without even rolling the Sextants yourself. Even doing this method with just purchasing them straight up, you're still going to be making great profit off of these maps and be happy. I would just mention that if you do plan to roll the Sextants yourself, you'll actually make more profit than you would if you don't. Lastly, let's chat about the scarabs that we're going to be using, and you guys probably have guessed it, as they are direct counterparts to the ones that we're using in the Atlas tree, and it's basically going to be the ones that are giving us the most mobs possible. We're going to be running Gilded Abyss, Breach, Harbinger, and Ambush. Luckily, the prices of all these scarabs are pretty reasonable, so we're able to use the gilded versions of each. So if you can't use the gilded versions though, don't worry about it. You can always just step down to the lower one, which is the polished here, and then work your way up to the gilded versions, and you're going to be making a lot of currency per hour regardless, so it's totally fine either way. As far as the map device that we're going to be using, we will be paying 5 chaos for Beyond each time to further juice up the map. For Atlas Mission, I would suggest you guys use Alva, as she provides the most mobs possible and is seriously going to juice up those maps. You could even substitute the Atlas Sextant for an Alva Sextant if you really wanted to, if you ran out of Alva missions. That would probably be the best case scenario. I do want to mention, however, that I personally have not been doing Alvas because my build is currently not strong enough to be able to complete the Alvas at the end of the map in the tier 16 juiced version of the map. So at that point, it's just not efficient for me to do them, so I'm actually saving them up, those Alva missions, to do when I have a stronger character. Because of that, I have not invested in Alva passives on the Atlas tree. If you do think that your character is strong enough to do these, I would suggest getting the time dilation node on the Atlas passive tree, since this is an absolutely huge node. It makes 33% of all your Alvas have only magic monsters in them. This ends up being a ton of extra juice and very, very much worth it. If you do this, I would drop the nodes leading up to the Breach node, Gatekeepers. Alright guys, that is it. That is everything you need to know about my map strategy that I've been running the last few days to make a ton of currency. Honestly, I am having a great time doing this strategy. The content is super fun and challenging, and honestly, it's some of the best content I have run in a long time in Path of Exile. I hope this guide was informative to you guys, and if it was, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one.